What's going on, guys? My name is Professor Nigel, and today I'm going to be showing you 3 great AR class setups that you can be using today in Call of Duty Warzone. Now, in most cases, these are going to be class setups that will be best if you have the guns fully ranked up. This won't be the case for the bar class setup, surprisingly, but my other 2 guns, the STG and the Cooper Carbine, you will most likely want to have those fully ranked up. So if you don't already, definitely try, whether in Vanguard or if you're trying in Warzone, try and rank those up as much as possible. Now, this bar, you really don't have to get it super ranked up. I think all the attachments you can unlock in the level 40 range. And honestly, I think this is a very underrated setup. Now, a lot of people give the bar a lot of shit. I think this is a great class setup that maximizes the best parts about the bar and makes it a very, very fun gun to use. So let's get into the attachments, and then I will also talk through a little bit more of the actual class setup, the perks, as well as everything else. So the attachments that I'm running on the bar are the recoil booster, the CGC 27-inch 2B barrel, the 2.5 times scope, the Chariot wide receiver, as I like to call it, the Chariot WR stock, sleight of hand, fully loaded, the leather grip, FMJ rounds with the 20 round fast mags, as well as the Carver foregrip. Now, the bar is a very fast killing gun, and it has a lot of damage, so I actually don't mind using the 20 round fast mags. A lot of people complain that there's not enough bullets to be competitive as an AR with the bar, and I think that's really nonsense. I think this bar is, for the most part, a close to mid-range setup. So now, if you want to pair this with something other than an SMG, by all means, go for it. Maybe a sniper rifle would be a good alternative. This is actually a very mobile bar class setup, and it shoots very, very fast. That's why we, of course, have the recoil booster on it. So I really think this thing is pretty much just built to control the recoil, which obviously the bar has a lot of, and I think is really the only downside to the bar. But other than that, the bar is super high damage, and you kind of really just want to improve those kind of stats, and I think the recoil booster does that. The slow fire rate on the bar is another thing that kind of slows it down, but as long as you have the recoil booster on there, you have the 20 round fast mags where you can quickly reload. This thing kills in 1 to 2, maybe 3 shots. So again, as long as you're hitting upper body headshots, this thing takes down enemies super quick, and definitely can outpace some of the other assault rifles. Talking a little bit through the barrels, the reason I like the CGC 27 is because it doesn't sacrifice a lot of mobility like the 30-inch XL does. This thing makes the gun a lot more slower, so using the 27-inch I think is a good compromise, and it really helps make this super accurate, super controllable, and really brings down the recoil, as well as improves your damage range. In terms of the rest of the class setup, it really is up to you. I'm using a PPS-H setup that I have in another video. There will be a link to that at the end. So if you want some SMG builds for Vanguard, I have 3 SMG builds that you can go check out there. In terms of the perk, I like using double time, and of course I'm using overkill. That comes pretty standard. I like using double time just because on Caldera there is a lot of running. There's a lot of running uphill, and I like having the extra duration for my tack sprint, and it also helps with the bar, which is definitely on the heavier side for the ARs. My third perk will pretty much always exclusively be Combat Scout. I think that's the best perk that you can be running in Caldera. It makes it so much easier to mark people for your squad mates when you're firing into the trees, and it's super hard to see people at distance. Combat Scout is absolutely the way to go in Caldera. In terms of the equipment, I personally love using the C4. I've found that a lot more people are running around with cars and vehicles, and having a nice C4 to blow up any trucks that are coming at you is super, super nice to have. It also works out when you're switching back and forth between Vanguard Royale as well as regular Battle Royale, because the C4, you don't have to change. It's not like a Semtex where it's unusable in Vanguard Royale. So that's why I love using the C4. Same thing goes for the stim. It's easy to change back and forth for Vanguard Royale and regular Royale. You can use it in both. And personally in Caldera, I've been using a lot less of the heartbeat sensor because most of Caldera is kind of out in the open. There's not as many buildings, not as many layers that people can be hiding in. So I prioritize definitely movement and the movement boost that you get from the stim rather than using a heartbeat or a stun or anything else like that. Now, the second class setup I have for you guys today is the STG. Now, this is really the warning track blueprint with one change. So, I'm not going to talk too much about, why I'm picking all the attachments. This is really just a blueprint that I've made a slight modification to. But I think this modification makes all the difference. So as you can see, these are all the same, but if you equip the warning track blueprint, you will notice that it doesn't equip a magazine. The magazine that I love using and that I think makes this warning track blueprint and makes this particular setup that I have is the 50 round mag. I see a lot of people, or I saw a lot of people, especially in the beginning of Caldera, using the 45 round mag because it increased the damage, the bullet velocity, and the range. But in terms of recoil control, it made this thing basically impossible to use. Using the 50 round mag makes it, yeah, a little bit of a pea shooter, but it makes it super accurate and makes this thing essentially the M13 of Vanguard guns. So if you're going to be playing Vanguard Royale and you want a super accurate, highly controllable AR, this is what you want to go for. You do have to control the recoil a little bit. It definitely isn't zero recoil, but I find that this is probably one of the easiest to control guns out there, and this blueprint, along with the 50 round mag, I think just makes it an absolute beast. In terms of all the other attachments that the warning track blueprint equips, they're all pretty much centered around controlling the recoil, which I think is the best way to build your STG. Again, it just makes this thing an absolute gem. It makes it so easy to control, and you can really seriously beam some people upwards of 150, 200 meters, and it's absolutely a lot of fun to use. So highly recommend. If you don't have the warning track blueprint, this is what the setup looks like. But if you do have the warning track blueprint, set it up like that, use the warning track, and just equip the 50 round mag. Again, you can find this MP40 build in my SMG setup video. Again, that will be at the end of the video. In terms of the rest of the class, it's all very similar, and I tend to set up most of my classes with these perks as well as equipment and tacticals, because I think they're great in any situation. In this particular case, I went with EOD because the STG doesn't have as nearly a penalty that the bar does in terms of mobility. So definitely, whatever you want in this first perks, whatever works best if you want cold-blooded. But for me, I think EOD works best. So the third and final AR class setup that I have for you guys today is the Cooper Carbine. Now, by no means is the Cooper Carbine kind of an underperforming or historically kind of under the radar gun. The Cooper has been everywhere, kind of touted by a lot of people as maybe one of the better assault rifles in Warzone. So I'm sure you guys are very familiar with this setup. But if you aren't, this is the setup that I love using. It's the Mercury silencer, the 22-inch Cooper Custom, the 2.5 times scope, although a lot of people love going down and using either the 3 to 6 times or the 4 to 8 times. Personally, I'm kind of in between whether it's the 4 to 8 times and the 2.5 times. Currently, I have the 2.5 times on. I've got the 45 RS stock on with Vital fully loaded, lengthened the 60 round drum mag, the hand stop, and the stippled grip. Now, all of this is pretty much centered around controlling recoil, because at range this thing does have a little bit of a kick. However, in the most recent Warzone Season 2 update, I think the big change is that the 22 Cooper Custom barrel got a buff to now it increases your bullet velocity by 40%. So this thing is an absolute beast, and if you're not currently using the Cooper Custom 22-inch barrel, I highly recommend using this one. It's made the gun extremely powerful at range, and I personally love using this setup. It's definitely got a lot of a different feel to it, so by all means, go ahead and try it out. Again, this PPSH is unlike some of the other builds, this is not one that you can find in the SMG class setup video, so I'll go ahead and give you a bonus setup. This is a hipfire PPSH build. All of the attachments are, again, pretty much all just prioritizing the hipfire accuracy. You've got the barrel, the stock, pretty much everything is built just to prioritize your hipfire. In terms of the rest of the class setup, it's all pretty much the same in this particular class. I'm using Tracker, however, I believe it should just be Combat Scout. In terms of the rest of the class setup, nothing else has pretty much changed from the STG class setup. I'm using the same perks as well as the same lethal and tactical. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. It would mean the world if you could hit that like and subscribe button if these loadouts helped you. Again, these videos are kind of more centered on just giving you some quick loadouts that you can try instead of having to, you know, shift through a bunch of gameplay and find the actual class setup that someone is using. I'm sure you will find more than enough gameplay coming soon with any of these class setups because, again, all of them are beasts. There's already a ton of videos on my channel where I'm using the STG and MP40 class setup, so I will also have a video either down in the description or down in the comments and a link to that where you can watch the gameplay if you want to check that out. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.